With nearly 5,000 specialists dedicated to supporting dealer financial services, Ally has the expertise to help you with your retail finance, F&I, and remarketing needs. We're all better off with an Ally. Contact your local Ally account executive to get started today. Ally, do it right.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Thursday, April 17th, 2025. I'm Jamie Butters, Executive Editor of Automotive News.
And I'm Kellen Walker. We're coming to you again from the New York International Auto Show. Today on Daily Drive, Ford might raise prices in May if tariffs continue. VW guarantees it won't increase MSRP through May. And supply chain stress is bubbling over into litigation. Plus, Hyundai Motors CEO Jose Muñoz joins the show here in New York.
When there's a change in regulation, change in conditions, you need to rethink everything and then see how you can best capitalize on the opportunities you have.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry.
Ford could increase prices on newly built vehicles next month. That's if President Trump doesn't ease tariffs on automotive imports. A top executive told dealers about the possible price hikes in a memo obtained by Automotive News. Andrew Frick is president of Ford Blue and Model E. He said in the April 16th memo that the automaker was still working to understand the effects of Trump's tariff policy, but believes, quote, certain tariffs are likely to remain in place for at least some time. Price increases will not affect inventory already at dealerships, much of which is available at employee prices until June 2nd. A company spokesperson said vehicles produced in May likely would not arrive until late June at the earliest.
Volkswagen Group of America, meanwhile, says it will maintain current pricing on new VW models through the end of May. The automaker is hoping to provide clarity to shoppers and dealers as the import duties sow confusion. Last month, VW signaled it was prepared to place a tariff surcharge on all imported models, some of which are among its biggest sellers in the U.S. The German brand imports 3 vehicles from Mexico: the Jetta compact sedan, Taos subcompact crossover, and Tiguan compact crossover. All 3 models are compliant with the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement.
The impact of tariffs on Kia and its dealers won't be as difficult to bear as long as consumers keep buying cars. That's according to Kia America COO Steve Center, who says every manufacturer will be affected differently because their supply chains and assembly footprints vary.
If demand remains steady, I'm not too worried about the tariffs and the cost and how we're going to deal with it. I'm more concerned about economic slowdown.
Center was speaking at the J.D. Power Auto Forum ahead of the New York Auto Show. The South Korean carmaker is well enough positioned with Georgia as an assembly hub for many of its popular vehicles, including the Sportage compact crossover and 3-row Telluride. It also builds 2 electric vehicles there, the EV6 compact crossover and the 3-row EV9.
And the Trump administration's tariffs are creating increased stress and costs in a fragile automotive supply chain. That's leading to litigation and production shutdown near misses. In a lawsuit filed Monday that appears headed for a swift settlement, a Michigan supplier of exterior trim products to General Motors sued a Tier 2 Chinese parts maker for refusing to ship until the buyer agreed to pay tariff costs. According to the lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court in Detroit, Pangeo Corporation, which makes components in China, demanded that JAC products pay nearly $56,000 worth of duties and cover the import costs going forward. JAC sued, saying it had a deal with Pangeo to split tariff costs. JAC said it would be forced to stop production Tuesday without parts from Pangeo. A GM spokesperson told our sibling publication, Crane's Detroit Business, on Wednesday that the dispute was being settled but declined to provide details. JAC's lawyer did not return a request for comment. And those are today's headlines. So, Jamie, Ford says it may raise prices in May if tariffs continue. Is May the month we'll possibly see more price increases from other automakers?
Yeah, May could be a big month. I think, a lot of brands had couple months supply on hand before the tariffs kicked in. So May could be big, June could be big, but from what we're seeing, I kind of expect prices to go up every day, every week, and every month as long as these tariffs stay in place and expand to auto parts next month.
Gotcha. Coming up, Hyundai Motor CEO Jose Muñoz joins the show to talk about how the automaker is navigating tariffs and its presence here at the New York Auto Show. That's next on Daily Drive.
For over 100 years, Ally has helped dealers like you serve your customers by providing the best-in-class products and services you need, and by remaining true to the automotive passion we share. Your dedicated Ally account executive will work hand in hand with you to help you gain efficiencies, increase your product offerings, and work to improve per-vehicle revenue. Because we care about your business as much as you do. We're all better off with an Ally. Contact your local Ally account executive to get started today. Ally, do it right.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Jamie Butters with Kellen Walker. As one of the few automakers still making news at auto shows, Hyundai Motor is continuing that trend here in New York this week. Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis have new production and concept models on display. And of course, executives are answering questions about how they plan to deal with the new tariff environment. Jose Muñoz has been the CEO of Hyundai Motor since January 1st. We spoke on Wednesday here at the New York International Auto Show. One note about my first question to Muñoz, I was told later, but have not yet confirmed, that vehicles that were already en route to the U.S. when President Trump's auto tariffs took effect on April 3rd were considered to have beaten the deadline, regardless of when they arrive in port. It's not clear when the ship I visited left Ulsan, South Korea. Jose Muñoz, welcome back to Daily Drive.
It's so good to be with automotive news every time you're around. So good to see you.
You bet. 13 days ago, I had the opportunity to visit the Ulsan plant, Hyundai's giant manufacturing complex in southeast South Korea. And there was a ship there getting loaded with vehicles coming right out of the factory. And the captain told us that ship was bound for California, and it's a 13-day journey. Mm-hmm. So if he left that day, he'd be pulling in today. If he left the next day, he's pulling in tomorrow. With those vehicles, are you going to pay the tariff right away and start shipping them to your dealers, or will you leave them in port and wait and see if maybe there's a pause on the tariffs or if there's some relief for them?
No, we are not changing any supply chain. So we want to ensure that the supply is smooth and homogeneous. And then, we know that there's some discussions between governments behind the scenes, but we just go with the flow, as sometimes we say with friends. So in our case, we believe that cost and revenue, they are two different things. And then if there are tariffs applied and when they are, if they are, okay, we'll have to handle them the best that we possibly can on the cost side of the business. But the revenue and the car flow, etc., needs to continue. So we have made a decision to give confidence to the consumers through the Hyundai Assurance Program by indicating that we are not going to increase MSRP prices through to June the 2nd, and then we will see. So we are not doing any disruption to the flow of cars, production or sales.
You're not changing your prices. You're not changing the MSRP. Are you asking your dealers to hold the line on prices?
So the dealers can decide what they want, as you know. So we have the R on MSRP means recommended, but the dealers can do what they want. Obviously, we want to ensure that the customers get the right promise, and the dealers that we've talked to, the advisory board, etc., are very much aligned. So they like the decisions that we have taken, and they are with us. So I just met several dealers who were attending our press conference. They were congratulating me and thanking me for the decision the company took to maintain and provide this message to the consumers. And then you saw the results. So consumers have been confident, and we had the best March ever, best Q1 ever, and April has started on a high note.
Yeah, the sales were good. They're really good. But I'm not sure it's confidence of consumers as much as their concern about what vehicles are going to cost in a month or 2 months or 3 months.
We'll see. we we will see. Time will tell. But I take the good results of the months and the good quarter. So 1 month at a time, 1 quarter at a time. So now we are in April, the most important month of our lives, and we're doing well in April. And then we'll see what happens.
Back to the pricing, though, we know during COVID times and the scarcity of the chip shortage later, there were a lot of dealers selling vehicles for above MSRP, which can make for a less than ideal customer experience. They can be underwater for a lot longer, or they just feel taken advantage of, even though, what's fair is fair. What the market will bear is what it is. Are you talking to them at all about that, or are you just leaving it in their hands?
We are talking to the consumers, and the consumers are the ones who make the decision. So if they can compare anytime the prices on our website, and they can go visit the websites of different dealers, and then they decide. So again, the dealers decide their own prices. We send them the recommended one, and then they have to make their own decisions, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned on the government side that you understand there are some talks going on, but it sounds like you're not involved. You don't have people trying to convince President Trump to lower the tariffs or to not have tariffs on autos for some extended period of time.
Well, these are things that go beyond brands and beyond companies. These are elements where the governments have different factors and different elements to consider, and there are more negotiations between nations than anything else. We actually don't know what the governments may be discussing. What I know is that South Korea is one of the major investors in the United States, if not the biggest investor in the United States, in many domains, in automotive, in tech, in steel, in chips, in many domains. And then concretely, Hyundai is very committed to the US market. This is the most important market for us globally. And then we have not only made $20.5 billion investments over the last almost 40 years that we've been in the country, but we have committed 3 weeks ago, before President Trump, another $21 billion investment over the next 4 years. So look at it that way. So in 4 years, we're going to almost duplicate the investment that the company has made over the last 40 years. And in fact, just 3 weeks ago, we were opening our brand new Savannah plant, which is part of a $20.6 billion investment, bringing to Savannah 12,000 direct employees, and to the state about 40,000, not to mention the additional 2.5 billion and roughly 14,000 more employees that the suppliers are bringing to the table. In total, we have more than 570,000 direct and indirect employees by Hyundai Motor Group. And then with the new battery of investments, which I will describe, we bring in another 100,000 additional jobs. So these 21 billion are going to be split in 3 categories: $9 billion in additional capacity. So the Savannah plant will move from 300,000 to 500,000, and then for a total of 1.2 million. Also, we bring new products to our plants, both in Georgia and in Alabama. In addition to that, we have announced a $6 billion investment for a green steel factory in Louisiana, plus supply chain investment, so suppliers that are localizing in the United States. And the last bucket of another $6 billion, it is for new technology: Boston Dynamics, Supernal, Motional, also an agreement that we made with NVIDIA on chips, and many others. So if you go to Savannah, it's a 3,000 acre, and it's not only an assembly plant, which is already a massive project. We have a battery plant together with LG in a joint venture, LG Energy Solutions, but we have also Globis, we have Mobis, we have Transys, we have Hyundai Steel, and we have Hyundai Materials. All these are part of the group. So when people ask me, "Oh, are you just doing assembly?" But then the components, we are localizing as much as we possibly can the supply chain. But again, this is not a decision that we've taken because of the latest news. It's a decision that we took when Trump was president in the first term, and then it takes time to realize the project, as you know.
Yeah. So the part of the $21 billion is to expand, is to do the phase 2 of Savannah.
Yes.
Getting from 300 to 500. Are you getting closer? How's the ramp up going? It was pretty low production when we were there 3 weeks ago. Is it picking up? And I know you don't want to set an arbitrary time frame, but do you have a sense of when it might approach that 300,000 capacity?
Well, to me, the sooner the better, right? So, but we don't want to compromise on safety and on quality. We want to ensure everything is really perfect. And then I would like to go to maybe a year and a half, maximum 2 years to get to the 300,000. So, but then again, the most important is to do it right. So this is not a project for a couple of years. This is a 20 plus years project, and we want to do it right. So we recently started production of the Ioniq 9. And then, as you know, we started already production of Ioniq 5 before even the grand opening. And I'm very happy to say that both qualify now for the full $7,500 of IRA, since the batteries are also coming from the United States. So I think it's all looking good.
Oh, you're such an optimist. So the Ioniq 9, sort of the electric counterpart to the Palisade and Palisade Hybrid that you and your team just revealed here in New York. How do you think about, it's a very impressive vehicle, especially with the calligraphy version, seemed pretty high end. Where do you draw the line? How do you think about Hyundai and Genesis? What's too mass market for Genesis? What's too high end for Hyundai? Do they start competing with each other at times?
Well, there are not lines in the industry, and then simply the different needs for different customers, and then the consumers are the ones who choose. The most important is to have good options. We saw a few years back that there was demand for large SUVs for families who wanted to have an electric vehicle, and then we did our very best to come up with a product which was very innovative, with very good range and with very good space. And then I can tell you that the Ioniq 9 that I've driven, it is a wonderful vehicle for the family. Now, today we're talking about the new Palisade, which is gorgeous, is larger, is longer, is a lot of space in the third row with hybrid version. So if anything, we want the customers to be able to have the options to choose, right? So you have 3 very nice SUVs. So ICE, you have hybrid, and then you have EVs. And with hybrids, providing more than 300 horsepower and more than 30 mpg. So, but if you want to have luxury SUV, maybe you go to a GV70 or to a GV80. The different needs by different people. But we are not drawing a line and say above this line is Genesis, below this line is Hyundai. It's not like this.
Okay, not a hard and fast dollar sign.
No,
at least. But the nice features. Definitely very nice features.
Yeah, there is. We just strive to do better. So the product planners want to provide the customers the best safety, best technology, best design, and then have the customer take the decision about the car that fits their needs.
So you started off with the only day we have is today. The only month we have is this month, right? Try to stay in the moment. How do you balance that with the need to make long-term plans, to make those strategic decisions that are 5 and 10 years out?
Right. It's very important because it's not either or, but it's both, right? So we have, in fact, today and tomorrow, what we call a midterm plan meeting. So then all executives around the world have been invited to attend the New York show so that they can see the new products, how we're doing in the country, etc. And then we're going to have strategic discussions. So the strategic discussions are very clear as well. So let me remind you where we are. So we announced in August last year in the CEO Investor Day our objectives for the midterm plan, which go through to 2030. We are going to invest $90 billion in this period to try to increase our sales by 30% to 5.55 million. Of those, we want to sell 2 million EVs. And then we want to bring a total shareholder return of 35% or more. So those objectives don't change. And it means we need more capacity. It means we're going to bring 21 EV models. We're going to bring 14 hybrid models during this period. We are investing also in other regions. And then, we want to grow on EV cars, in hybrid technology, in EREV. We, for example, announced that in our Savannah plant, we would also produce hybrids and EREVs. So we have a very clear, solid midterm plan. And then we're navigating the day-to-day. So it's not like there is no plan. On the contrary, I think $90 billion and a 30% growth in the next midterm plan is a big, bold commitment.
Will the first Genesis out of Savannah be a hybrid?
So we have not announced yet. I can tell you that so far we have announced Ioniq 5 and then Ioniq 9. And then very soon we will announce what is going to be the best. So I think it's gonna be good. But we have not announced yet the next cars.
It'll be a Kia though first and then a Genesis, or not even that's set? We
have not announced it yet. Now we are ramping up Ioniq 9. That's the most important car of our lives right now.
As it should be.
Exactly.
Jose Muñoz, CEO of Hyundai Motor Company, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me.
That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Jamie Butters.
And I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Michael Martinez, Jack Walsworth, and Carly Schaffner for their reporting for today's podcast. We also had reporting from Kurt Nagel of our sibling publication, Crane's Detroit Business. You can get the latest news on manufacturing, tariffs, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com.
Come back tomorrow for an interview with Interactive EQ CEO Napo Rumteen about using AI in service department hiring to measure emotional quotient and soft skills.
It really peels the layers of onions for an evaluator to be able to understand the talent.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.